Welcome to the Scene Snobs Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Scene Snobs Podcast. I'm your host, Mick Manhattan. Thank you for joining me again this week. We're getting into it. We're starting a whole new format. Lots of things happening. And I just always appreciate you guys coming back and being a part of it. Thank you. Whether you're here live or you're listening on a later date, just truly appreciate you. You know, the numbers have been kind of going up, and that's been awesome. Thank you so much for that. As we've been going on and on, I've been kind of racking my brain a little bit, of course, since we lost Casey, and I'm more by myself. I'm trying to figure out exactly what works and things that I've been trying to concern myself with when it comes to working on the format of this show and how it will work. Does this do? How do we build this show to grow and find success? And I've one thing that has kept coming back more and more and more has been the word value. It's just been hitting me right in the head, as plain as can be, is how am I adding value to people's lives by doing this? So many people have podcasts. So many people have YouTube channels. So many people have TikToks. They're all over social media. There's influencers. There's this, that, and the other thing. I was a 41-year-old guy who was out of the film industry over 10 years ago. I mean, we're going on almost 13 years ago. I'm out of the film industry, in a grand sense of actually working, getting my hands dirty and working in movies. I do some consulting and things like that, but it's just not the same. It's not the same. How do I add value to what you're watching, what we do, how we go about this? And I'm working on that. I am. There's new things I'm trying. I'm incorporating new things. One thing I ask as we go through is please keep me up to date. I trust you guys, the Snobnation. I'm trying to step up in certain areas. So just please let me know what you think. If there's something you don't like, is it the Snobs movie summer school? Is it the Did I Fixes? Is it the 5 takeaways? What's working? What's not working? Are the guests working? Are they not working? I'd love to hear from you guys. We have a great show planned for tonight, though. We have a great guest. Will Otero is here. Wize himself. He's from Real Wize Radio. He hosts the Stuck in My Mind podcast, which is a great podcast. If you guys haven't checked it out, he's a fun host. Can't wait to have him on. He'll be jumping in. We'll be talking about his show and more. We're going to be talking about the Ezra Miller bit and the Flash and coming out and the whole controversy surrounding that. Snob Summer School, we're going to be talking about biopics, what works, what doesn't work. Can't wait to hear a lot of your input on those things. Did I fix? I watched Universal Soldier. There's not much to fix there, but we are going to talk about. There are some things that I do think need to be worked out in the movie. But I just had a really good time kind of planning this episode. And I think as we've grown in these 4 years and we've evolved on this podcast and we've grown out into different shows and kind of how the channel's been going, it's just been getting more and more fun. One thing I've been working on is kind of branding things, kind of branding the Mick Manhattan, kind of branding the Scene Snobs. How does this work? What are we working on? And I went to a meeting today, and there was a guy who, I'm not going to name him today. I'm not going to name him because I don't want to call anybody out. I don't want to be mean or anything like that. But I get on this Zoom call or whatever. First of all, he's 15 minutes late to his own Zoom call. And there's like 40 people there. And then we're all sitting there, we're waiting. And the CEO of his company or whatever is talking to us. And she's very nice. And she's getting us all riled up before he comes in. And he steps on. And he's got the fake boardroom behind him and whatnot. And it is what it is. And it's all pretty. And he's in a suit. And he's talking about branding. And and as I'm listening, I'm kind of nodding my head. I'm like, oh, I like that idea. It's those things where you're thinking about it as you go. You're like, yeah, I like that idea. That's a good idea. Maybe go with that. Some things you're like, oh, maybe I would tweak this here. You learn as you go. And this guy's, he's talking about a 9-figure entrepreneur, and this is what he does. So I was like, well, let me think outside the box and try this. And so he starts talking about you can't judge, they say you can't judge a book by your cover. And he's saying, yes, you can. It's all about the branding. He's like, of course, we don't pick up books that are stupid looking and, why would we, and blah, 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 the whole nine. I try to think less cynical these days. I've had a cynical mind in the past, and now I try to think less so. So for me, I'm saying, I'm like, well, just because you do judge a book by its cover and you say that's okay, means you might be missing out on a good book. You never know. So I have read some good books with some pretty bad covers. And it gets down to listening to this. I've watched some great movies with some really bad covers too. And also, but the connection of people. How do you compare people to and who they are on the outside to what what books are on the outside, or movies, or things like that? Like, at first glance, people are more than at a first glance. So he's pulling people up, and you see him putting them on the big screen. He's like, this person's a left-minded thinker. I can tell just by the way they carry themselves or hold themselves. And he's going on. And it's like a really weird fake mentalist sort of thing. It's just, I'm like, okay, whatever. And, as he's going, I'm like, okay. And I guess he was paying attention to me because I was nodding through a lot of it. And then some things, I was like, okay. And then he pulled up a woman, and she had her pronouns displayed on her, in her corner with her name. And she was talking about it, and he was saying, you should get rid of the pronouns because you never know who you're turning off with that. And it's it's kind of like, I kind of made a face like, I don't know that you need to get rid of the pronouns. And, it all really depends on what's what, and that this is me in my head thinking while he's saying these things. I'm like, it's just a different idea of thing. I see what he's saying. If you're trying to build a brand and you're trying to sell and things like that, and you want to be as big as Coca-Cola or stuff like that, like, yeah, when you put like something on there, like the pronouns, or you say, I believe in this, or you adapt to that, or you slap a flag here, or do this, that, and the other thing, it might turn people off. My way of thinking is, like, if that's what you believe in, or if that's your idea, if you think that is the right way to go, and you truly believe in your heart, this is right, this is the right way, and you are not hurting anybody. That's the key. Not hurting anyone at all. And I'm talking about in any capacity. This is your belief. You think it's right, and you're not hurting anyone. Then go ahead. Why not? You put the pronouns on. I have the pronouns up on my stuff because I believe in it. Go for it. I do that to support my friends, my trans friends, my non-binary friends, my friends who are having a tough time trying to find their place and fighting for their place. And I'm showing them support. And if putting pronouns up does that, then I'm happy to do it. Now, my point here is, he's saying this, and then he pulls my video, pulls my picture up. Now I'm muted. They mute us all, and you can unmute yourself, but I'm trying to be respectful. And he takes one. Now I'm sitting here. I have a button-down shirt on, but I'm sitting in the exact spot in the same area, minus all the Scene Snobs podcast stuff. And I know I'm running a little late, but Wize, I will pull you in just 1 second right after I finish this. And he pulls me up and he goes, now this guy with his tattoos and the way he's dressed, and his not being able to let go, and he said this, he goes, not being able to let go of his childhood through his decor. And I'm like, fair, whatever. I mean, not that I can't let go of my childhood. I have things that I'm nostalgic about and I like to collect, and I think that's okay. But he said that, and then he goes, now I can tell, is not a fan of pronouns. He's not buying any Bud Light anytime soon. He's not, and he's going on, and he's saying these things to a crowded room of Zoom people, and he's putting these labels on me. And I'm like, like, I start shaking my finger, and he's like, oh no, am I wrong? And I click, and I was like, whoa. You don't know me from Adam. You have no idea who I am. And I try to explain it, and he's like, well, and I don't, by this, that, and the other thing, but you have a problem with pronouns. I'm like, I have no problem with pronouns. I don't care what anybody wants to identify as. And I was like, it doesn't bother me whatsoever. I'm not going to judge anyone. And he's like, but you do have a problem. And he's trying to convince me I have a problem. And I'm like, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, wait, what? I think about it for a few seconds. I leave the meeting. I'm like, this isn't for me. I was like, but then it got me thinking, and I went over and I got a little mad about it for a few, maybe about a half hour afterwards. I thought about it. I went out, sat on my porch, chilled for a few seconds. I was like, who is this guy? I was like, I looked him up and I'm like, everything I've seen, it's his brand. It's his stuff. Everything that I can find about him, it's his stuff that he's putting out. It's not what people are writing about him. It's him and what he's writing about himself. Now, he may be successful in his own right. I don't, that's fine. That's great. There's nothing I can find that says he's successful. But that's what I wanted to just kind of touch down on today. And if there's any value in bringing in any of this, or saying like just in this interaction alone, if I can say anything to anybody in this podcast or kind of put forth a good message, is, and it's funny. I think Ted Lasso did it the best when he said, the Walt Whitman quote of "Be curious, not judgmental." It's truly just don't judge. Just don't judge. Why not get to know somebody before you judge them? I have friends who don't believe in pronouns. I have friends who do believe in pronouns. I have friends who identify as this, identify as that. I have friends from all over the spectrum who are different. And I'd rather ask them questions and learn about them and know more about them. And if I have different belief system, talk to them about it. Then we automatically hate each other because I'm just going to get mad. And really, if that's what I can open this up with and give some value to any of this, and you guys are okay with it and you like it, just go out and don't get so mad. Don't be so cynical. Don't judge. Just take a breath. If somebody's judging you or somebody's putting a label on you, just take a beat, just walk away and remember who you are and go out there and you do good things. And don't you turn it around and start judging or turn it around and put it on other people. So if that's how I can open this and do that, then hopefully I've done pretty good. I see a lot of your comments here. Let's just go down them real quick before I bring Wize in. What's up, Jason? How you doing, man? I meant to say, hey, buddy. What's up? Don't rack brains. Yeah. What's up, Dan? How you doing? Dan the man, Master Shake. What's up? How you doing, Dadpool? AJ's here. I am doing all right, man. It's been kind of a tough go, but I'm doing all right. What's going on, Chris? How you doing, brother? Chris, what's going on? How you doing? Evening, pal. You guys, tagline is embrace the absurdity, so don't worry about the visual aesthetics. Fair, right? I love it. You got to enjoy the stuff. You got to enjoy the little things. WTF? That's totally messed up. It is what it is. I mean, you're gonna meet messed up people in life. And some goner. Hey-o, what's going on? How you doing? Thanks for joining in again. How you doing? And I want to say Jay McPhail, who came in last week, and in case he's listening or watching, he gave me these at Carolina Fear Fest. This is from I didn't watch it, but the Sandman TV show. I thought that was pretty cool. The teeth and the eyes and stuff. He made this with his 3D printer. And I guess, I don't know how he got this. Maybe talked to my wife or something, but made me this too. I guess it's a life-size replica. It's pretty cool though. So I'm going to keep them here. But thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. I didn't get a chance to show them off last week when you're here. But without further ado, I want to bring on my guest. Great guy. I don't know how he hasn't been on the show before. Wize is here. He runs Real Wize Radio. He hosts the Stuck in My Mind podcast. This guy is killing it on all cylinders in the podcast world, in the world of video. And you guys should be checking him out. We'll have his stuff linked down in the description. It is actually linked down there. So make sure you go check him out. His website's linked down there. So, and follow him everywhere. Wize, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for coming on, buddy.
I gotta hit you up with the new logo, man.
Well, I saw. Okay, so here's the thing. I was gonna put the new logo up.
Yes,
but I didn't have the PNG for it. This one good. I did, so that's why I was able to put it up like this. So I wanted to make sure I had it up, but it is a nice new logo.
So what's going on, man?
Hey, man, it's Tuesday night. I'm feeling pretty good. How you doing, buddy?
I just finished recording the show. I was just live on a show, and I came in. Well, I appreciate you inviting me. Actually, thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
So when I was like, oh, it works out because I do my show and then I'll come and hop on here and have a great time.
Oh my God, man. I'm so glad you're here. Let's talk about your show, actually. Let's talk about
before you do that, I want to. The reason I don't buy Bud Light is because it's piss water.
That's fair. That is fair.
It's not because of Dylan Mulvaney. It's just Bud Light is piss water, so I would never buy Bud
Light. Actually, Bud Light was my beer of choice towards the end. Like because I don't drink anymore at all. Once I got hangovers, I was done. I was like, nah, I don't mess around with hangovers.
I got the opportunity to work at a pub and brewery, so I started learning about beers. So then that's when I realized, like, yeah, this is just crap beer.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, 100%. Like, you go to a brewery, and I'd love to actually ask you about that. So, learning about that process and a brewery and how they kind of put the tastes together and things like that for you. What is something really interesting that you found in the making of the beer process that, like, you can share with us that, just kind of really stuck out to you?
Oh man, it's been such a long time. This is like in the 90s, man.
Then that's early days. I love it even more.
Yeah, so it was a great experience because it opened up my palate to different beers. Because I'm from the hood, man. I started off with OE and stuff like that. So liquor. So I didn't know what real good beer was until I started working at the brewery and started tasting brown ales and cherry ales and all these different types of beers. And it's like, wow, this is it was an eye opener. It was being able to experience that and learn that, hey, there's different things out there. You just don't have to be stuck on what you know.
That's true. And it's funny you actually mentioned OE. I was a Hurricane guy. Oh yeah, like because especially like it was cheaper than OE and it was cheaper than Colt 45.
Yeah.
I would not go steal it.
Like for me, it was. Oh man, it's been a long time. I'm about to age on. This is like the 90s, though, like early 90s and stuff. So it was a different time, man. Now I was like, yeah,
dude. I remember riding my bike up to the bar, and like my aunt would be there and my uncle, and because my uncle's only like a few years older than me, so he was 21 when I was like, I don't know, like 16, 17. So like, but I was 6'4". So when you're 16 and you're 6'4", you walk into a bar, nobody's questioning you.
Yeah.
I would like throw on my dad's flannel, and then just walk in and it's like, oh, all right, whatever. I'm growing some facial hair.
Cool, yeah.
And pound a few beers and whatever. And then like my uncle was like, all right, let's go get some 40s. And then that's how it's gonna go. And then we'll sit on the stoop. But yeah, Hurricanes were the way to go, man.
It was different. It was definitely different cultural experience for me. It was like, okay.
Oh yeah,
we never had these many options.
No, there's so many options now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
IPAs, all these other different beers.
I got to be honest with you. I don't 100% know if I've ever had an IPA.
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm not sure either.
Because I would just drink, have a good time, and like put some back, and that's what it was. And so like it, my drink of choice, like towards my, when I was legal, was more Yingling.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I live in Pennsylvania, and that's where they make Yingling.
Yep. Oldest brewery.
Yeah. So
it's one of those. Back then, it was like whatever you could afford. So like if you were tight on things, Natty Ice was probably where you're gonna go.
Yeah.
Get your case of Natty Ice.
Listen, sometimes you gotta go that route. Like that's what if that's what you have in your pocket at the moment, you like, yeah, let me just take some of that Natty Ice. Yeah.
When you got some money burning in your pocket, you're like, all right, now I'm buying the liquor.
I'm buying the real stuff. Yeah.
We get a glass of scotch. Let's do this. The Dadpool says St. Hyde's here. Ooh.
Oh yeah, it was St. Ides. So yeah, you going back? Remember the special brew, the St. Ides special brew? They were the flavor. That's so we decided to make our own special brews. We would take the OE, like drink half of it, go buy a kiwi strawberry Snapple, drink half of that, and then put it in the OE, and that was our special brew.
Oh my God, man. Yeah. When you mix and match.
Yeah.
We really only mix and match when we play Kings.
Mm.
We'd be throwing down the Kings, and then we'd just be dumping into the cup, and then I'd usually lose because I'd be like, oh, I'm out of a beer, and I just whatever. I got the fourth King. Give me the beer. I'll drink the amalgamation of everything. And Mickey's wide mouth. Oh my God!
Wow.
Whoa, that's a tough one, dude. I don't know how you're still alive there, Chris. Well, Wise, I'm so glad you joined in, man, and it's a lot of fun to be able to talk to you. And you're wearing the Yankees hat, by the way, which is funny because did you see what's his name get hit in the face with the ball the other?
Yes, John Sterling. Yeah.
I'm a Yankees fan. I grew up a Yankees fan. I love him.
It's listen. He's a icon, man, and
he kept going.
He's a professional. He kept going and doing. It happens, man. That's the risk you take when you're at a ballpark and a foul ball comes back, and it's like one in a million. It's not something like it's not. This is not something you hear frequently that an announcer gets hit with a ball. It's very rare that it happens.
It was perfect. If anybody hasn't seen it, you should go out and make sure you go see the video because it's perfect too. Because he's just and they have him on camera perfectly talking, saying, and he hit that one up and it's coming back and it's going up, and it just hits him in the face. And he's like, and it hit me in the face. It just keeps going. It's just wonderful. I love.
He's one of the best to ever do it. So he's a professional at all times. So
you'll appreciate this. I was talking to Casey earlier, and he's a diehard Red Sox fan. He grew up in Connecticut, so he loves the Sox, and we've always been arguing Yankees Sox and going back and forth. And I found remember the Sports Center commercials, and they had Big Poppy on. And he tests out the Yankees hat and he puts it on.
Oh, and then the mascot saw him, and the mascot just loses it. Yes,
he's so pissed. I will send that to Casey whenever it pops up. Whenever I see it on social media, I will take the link and I'll send it right over to Casey because I'm like, Big Poppy looks good in that Yankees hat, and he just like I'm sure the flames are just like ignited in his heart, but. He sent it right back to me. He like came right back at me. He's like, dude, there's nothing more disgusting than seeing one of the best baseball players. He's like, we've already got Johnny. Like, leave Poppy alone. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, when Steinbrenner got mad, he made him cut that hair and shave that beard. Johnny Damon, he really stamps into him.
He's one of the few that. And I used to hate Johnny Damon. I used to hate Johnny Damon with a passion. And when he became a Yankee, all that went out the window. He became one of my favorite Yankees. And so it just happens that way.
Isn't it great when you're a Yankees fan and it's like, I hate him with a passion. And as soon as, because inevitably they're going to end up on the Yankees as soon as they do.
He's a Yankee, as soon as he does that, the NY, it's all nothing but love. Yes. Oh, you want a favorite? Like, no. Wade Boggs couldn't stand him. Put on a Yankee uniform. All that goes out the window.
Oh my God!
Roger Clemens.
I met him.
Yeah,
I did.
I'm sure he's a real piece of work.
He was nice to me because I met him on a movie shoot.
Okay.
I was actually
a lot of people have had different experiences with him, so.
That's fair, but as Jeter was next to him, and there's a few others running around, but I only met those two at the time. And it was funny because it's funny that this is coming up because I was talking to my son about it yesterday. We watched '89 Batman. Last night. Yeah, and he was so into it. He's 6, and he was like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" And he saw Nicholson as the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I think for him, because he's so used to seeing Heath as the Joker, even just on cartoons and stuff like that, that's the one that's emulated now the most. So like, I think we forget how accurate Nicholson's Joker was in '89.
Oh man, I remember going to see that, and it was crazy because we had, what was it? We was at camp. I think it was a summer camp trip, and we went to go see Batman '89. It was like one of the greatest experiences ever. It's like, and you know what? It was crazy because a lot of people were upset that Michael Keaton got Batman.
Remember that? Everybody was pissed.
Michael Keaton, oh my God, how is Mr. Mom supposed to do this? and he is one of my favorite Batmans of all time. Still,
I'm so glad he's back.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. We're going to talk about that today. And I was going to start that with you, like towards the end after we talked about everything, but the controversy with this new movie, The Flash and stuff like that. But knowing Keaton is back, like that trumps everything for me, because I need to see Keaton back as Batman. I don't think everybody realizes, but I think you will, because again, going to see it and how much I like Bale as Batman. I like Ben Affleck, and a few others, but there was nothing. That's my Batman.
Val was okay.
Val was good.
Val was good after Keaton, but to me, it's Keaton just him and Nicholson. That was, to me, was a great movie. Just the way Vicky Vale, Kim Basinger, it was. I used to love Kim Basinger, but it's just been. It was a great movie. It's like it was not, but it was not what I expected, and then it was just so great. It was like, oh wow, this is a great Batman.
Not just, and you're so right. And the thing with it is, not only was it like, even watching it again yesterday, because like prep before, because we're going to watch Batman Returns tomorrow. So basically to kick it off, like since my son is home, I work from home. He's doing some summer camps, but he really wants to watch a lot of the movies that like I kind of talk about with my older son.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, why don't we do this? There's a lot of stuff you've never seen because you're 6 and you're going on 7 and you just haven't seen it. So I was like, why don't we do a summer movie club? And we can't do it every day, but like every other day or so, we'll watch certain things and we'll go and we'll have a good time with it. So like we watched the new Transformers movie. Then the next day we watched the 86 Transformers cartoon movie.
Okay.
Now we watched Batman. We're going to watch Batman Returns and we're going to go see The Flash. Stuff like that. So you kind of prep him for everything, but he watched that and he saw the Joker, and I looked at him, and Jack Nicholson's always been one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, Daddy was in a movie with him. And he goes, what? And like, he knew I worked in the movies, but I was like, no, I acted in a movie with him. And he goes, what? And he was like, can I watch it? And I'm like, yeah, sure. You're not going to see me because I was an extra, but like I was in a movie with him and I met him, and, I told him about anger management. And that was where I was in the Yankee Stadium portion.
Scene, yeah.
And I remember my buddy and I snuck down while they were waiting. They were setting up for the next shot. We snuck down because we're such diehard Yankee fans. We go down all the way to the field. There's a cop there. We're like, hey, listen, can we just stand on the field? And we're not going to go all the way out. We're just like, can we stand right there by the dugout? Like literally, if we just take a step to where you are, we can say we stood on Yankee Stadium. He goes, I'm not a real cop. I don't give a shit. And he just opens the gate. And I'm like, this is amazing. So we just walk in. First things first, my buddy goes down, grabs a handful of like the dirt, pours it in a Ziploc bag, puts it in his pocket. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the greatest thing. I can't believe I didn't think to do that. And he's like, yeah, no, it's great. And then like we're walking around. We met Roger Clemens, met Derek Jeter, walking in the dugout. He's like, you want to go in the locker room? I'm like, I don't think we can. He's like, I don't think we can. I was like, let's just have fun at this point. Man, never got kicked out. Nobody ever said anything. We just walked around the entire time and then went back, filmed our stuff, and just walked out, man. It was the best.
That being a Yankee fan, I'm jealous. I am definitely jealous. Because I would love to just touch the dirt and because behind me is Yankee Stadium.
Is that the new one or the old one?
The old one.
Ah, nice. I love it.
Yeah. So yes.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the new one?
Yes, I have.
I have never been.
I've been. Yeah. Wife took me for my birthday.
The last game they ever played in the old Yankee Stadium, I was in film school at the time, and I was doing a photography project. And I'm visiting New York because I was down in Florida for school, and I'm visiting New York. And my brother's like, "You want to go to a Yankee game? They're playing the Mets." I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, let's go." And we're sitting in the nosebleeds or whatever, and I was like, "Great, this is great for taking pictures, which is great." Yeah. So I'm like snapping all the pictures and stuff like that, and I got a great one of them knocking a dinger out, and I was like, "Oh, this is just perfect for the last game in the stadium." And that was my last time. So when they finally moved on, and I hadn't been, I just hadn't lived there, so I hadn't had a chance to ever go back. But I always looked at that as like, that was my stadium. I went there so much. I don't know that I could go to the new one.
I had a great time. Always, especially being that I used to as a kid, I used to attend games at the old stadium, and even as an adult later on, I went and checked some games out. The new stadium it's never gonna. I'm sure for New Yankee fans, it's great because that's the stadium that they're used to. But you know how we get with nostalgia and stuff like that, and you're always gonna be like, oh. But it's a great stadium, man. It's a museum inside, man. Definitely with all the history and all the Yankee stuff all over, and getting to see all the great stuff that they have out there. So it's a ballpark, but it's also a museum. It also has a lot of Yankee history all over. So there's not a lot of ballparks can say that.
No, not at all, man. And I agree with you. Like there are a handful that I would love to go and visit. Like I've never been to Wrigley. I would love to go see Wrigley.
Yes. One of my favorite places going is Camden Yards. And
Camden is great, man.
I love going to see the Yankees playing Camden Yards.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Me and a bunch of friends, we got some great seats behind third base. Paid probably like $80-something, and it's probably going to be a little bit more now because the Orioles are pretty good this year. So,
when I lived out in LA, the Dodgers were like they were bad. They just got Clayton at the time. Yeah. So they were just starting to get good, but like you could buy tickets the day of on StubHub for like $6.
Wow.
So like we would, and just, it was in the Pines out in the, in the outfield, but whatever. I mean, I'll go sit out in the Pines in Dodger Stadium.
It's just the overall experience of going to it's different. Like people sitting down and watching baseball on TV at home sucks. Let's be honest. It's the overall atmosphere of the stadium and the crowd and the people and getting the peanuts and getting the beer and getting the hot dogs. That is just a completely different experience, man. It just makes you really enjoy the game so much more because now you're surrounded by so many other fans, and it's just a great time.
I agree. I definitely agree with you. When you're there, it engulfs you almost. Like everything just like surrounds you around it. And one thing I really do enjoy, like especially when it comes to sports like that, is for football when you go to college football games, it's always fun. Usually a little cheaper, but it's always going to be a good time. But minor league baseball is fun.
So we have, yes, I'm actually gonna go. I'm waiting for Jason Dominguez to get promoted, and we have Scranton Wilkes-Barre right here, which is the Yankees AAA affiliate, and I'm waiting for him to get promoted so I could go see him play before he gets into the majors, because he's one of those rare prospects that might be a superstar. So I want to catch him right before he ascends to that level and he gets to the major league level, and I can say, hey, I seen the Martian play before he got to the majors. So it's great to be able to be here in Pennsylvania and get to go being a diehard Yankee fan and being able to see the Yankees of tomorrow. It's exciting.
That was it's funny because my grandfather always told me a story. So Jackie Robinson's last baseball game before he went and played with the Dodgers was in Jersey City, and that's where I'm from.
Yeah.
So he played at Roosevelt Stadium, and that was basically the minor league team. That was around when I was a kid. They played. So whenever
it was one of those stadiums. Roosevelt Stadium is one of those minor league stadiums that's known within the baseball circles. That yeah,
it was legit. It was a legit stadium. It was sad when they tore that down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember whenever we passed by there, like driving to his house, he would always tell the story because he was at his last game. And he was like, I just remember that was his last game. And before he went to go play with the Dodgers. And I was like, that is an amazing thing.
That's
to be
a great story.
Of.
That's an amazing, listen, that's part of history, man, to see Jackie Robinson play at any point in his career is like right now we get to see it because of old tapes and old footage, but I would love it. I get to tell my grandson that I got to see one of the greatest Yankees play of all time in person in Derek Jeter. And so when you get to see those greats that people will be talking about for years to come, it's like, I got to see Derek Jeter play. I actually, and being a Yankee fan, every generation has their Yankee. Jeter is our Yankee.
Jeter was the best Yankee, hands down. I have two Yankees that are my personal guys, and that's my favorite being Tino.
Okay.
It was a person, like I'm a first baseman guy.
Yeah.
And then of course Don Mattingly.
Yeah, Donnie Baseball. That's one of him and Willie Randolph were two of my favorite players growing up. Because I grew, like I said, I was used to watch them in the 80s. So Willie Randolph was one of my favorite. Donnie Baseball is definitely one of my favorite. Bernie Williams is one of my favorite, but DJ, I can really say DJ is my Yankee.
Bernie Williams.
Yes.
Oh,
I love Bernie.
Loved watching Bernie.
Bernie was the transition from the Mattingly Yankees to the DJ Yankees, because he was in that bridge. He was in that gap when Steinbrenner was suspended, and we actually kept our prospects instead of trading them away, and that's what built the foundation for those championship teams, was them being able to keep their draft picks and keep their players, because the Yankees were known to trade their up and coming rookies we got rid of Jay Buhner for Ken Phelps.
I forgot about Jay Buhner.
For Ken Phelps.
Dude, Jay Buhner on MLB Live was a great hitter in that game.
And I will never live it down. Like,
nope.
That was a trade that we traded away. We traded away so many.
Yep. MLB Live 96. Jay Bruner was a great hitter for the Yankees. That was some tough times, though. I will tell you, the 90s was fun, though, man. 90s was a great time.
Well, it was yes. But the late 80s, early 90s was not kind to Yankee fans. We really enjoyed some real, like I said, Steinbrenner got to the point where he was just throwing money at everybody and everything, and it just wasn't working at that time. And then, like I said, we got to keep our core. Then we trade for Tino.
No.
We get David Cone.
We built up, man.
We have Jimmy Key. We have all these different pieces that come together, and
Torrey stepped up and he really did a good job building the team. Though.
Listen, it was. Torrey was what we needed. He was the last piece because Buck was kind of harsh. Buck helped build that team, but it was Torrey's demeanor and calmness that is what was needed. That was the hand that was needed at that time to take us to that championship. But I agree. Buck Showalter was a great manager for the Yankees.
Yeah,
he just didn't get the opportunity to finish the job.
He's a great manager for the players that were going out there to play, but he could not get the talent. Like there was just something about getting them and pulling them in.
And it's crazy. He's been a good manager everywhere he goes, but it seems like he just can't win the big one. He can't.
No.
He can't get them over the hump. He can get there and help build the program. He just can't get an established program. Like once he gets to that point, it's like he loses them. And so when you bring in Joe Torre and he's able to steady the hand and lead them and let them play, and it was great, man. And the 90s were the 96 through 2000 was great.
Oh yeah, that was just a fun time, especially around that area. And it's funny because Chris says he got to watch Chipper Jones in the minors. Chipper Jones is a great player, so to be able to watch him in the minors is awesome. And he played for the Braves back then, and I love that random Rick. You just are not into baseball, and I love it. You could just lie and say, I thought it was like, I have not, though. I'm not going to lie. I have not.
I got to see Canseco, though.
Oh, did you see him when he played the Yanks?
Yes.
I did not. I did not.
I got to see him play as a Yankee, so.
Oh, my God. He was a Yankee.
Yes, I got to see him play as a Yankee.
Oh, my. When was that? Was that the 80s?
No, 2000. It was 99, 2000.
No, he didn't play on the Subway Series, did he?
He played them. He played it during that time sometime.
Wow, I don't even remember that.
Yeah. There's a couple of not many people remember Cecil Fielder was on those teams.
I remember Cecil. Actually, I had Cecil on one of our old shows. He came on and talked to us.
That would have been great. I would love to speak to Cecil.
I will see what I can do. I don't know him personally. It was the guy who was hosting the show, but I'll see.
It's great.
no, man.
I have no problems going out and reaching out to that's something I'm learning that I don't have problems reaching out to people and asking them, hey, would you like to be interviewed on but my podcast is not a sports podcast.
No, and mine either, but
so
it's fun to talk about this stuff though. And
that's why I love doing other shows because I love movies. I remember because my aunts used to run a video store and I got to see all types of movies. Like I remember watching The Stuff. I like Toxic Avenger, Maniac Cop, all these low budget movies that people don't know about but I got to see all these different types of movies. I loved watching movies. I've probably watched over 10,000 movies in my lifetime.
It's so fun, isn't it, to be able to go back and call back to those things?
I was the official tester. They would let us know if we should have this one, and I would watch all types of movies. Like I said, I could. Stuff is one of my favorite movies. The Stuff.
Oh my God, The Stuff is so much fun, and it's great that you mentioned the video store too, because I remember for years, like back in the early '90s, when I could start walking up to it, to like the mom and pop video stores called Premier Video, and get my own card. I went up there and it was like $1 to rent the old movies.
Yeah,
$2
for new movies. Yeah,
I could never watch. I was never allowed to watch horror movies unless they were on TV. Regular TV. Like I was allowed to watch when HBO.
Yeah, cut scenes off, and of course.
Oh yeah, and then so that's how I would watch them, and they were never on all the time, like during Halloween or something. So once I got the card, I was like, all right, go mow lawns, go do this, go do that, get some money together. And every day I would go back and forth. And like if I had like $3, 3 movies. If I had $1, 1 movie. And I would hit and I would watch every movie I could in the horror section. Then I would jump, and as soon as that was done, I'm going to jump over to the sci-fi section. After that's done, the action section. And I'm trying to finish this one. And now this is over the course of years.
Yeah, of course.
That's not that is definitely not, like 1 year or anything. But it was just such a divine time, man, to be able to watch all of that stuff and really soak in.
People don't really know like the experience of going to a mom and pop's video store, and especially when new releases came out, it would be hard to get them because they were limited on how many copies they had. It wasn't like Blockbuster where they had all these copies, but they probably had like 2 or 3 copies. So you would be waiting a minute to see a movie. So you would always just kind of, like, I remember so many movies that I've enjoyed that weren't in the movie theaters. Like a lot of movies that I've seen never made the movies. But then I also remember the movies that I did go see in the theaters, like Die Hard. I remember seeing that in the movie theaters. The Last Dragon. I remember seeing that in the movie theaters.
Oh my God, I love The Last Dragon.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
One of my favorites. That's like there's movies. That's one that's like whenever it's on, I can watch it.
Yeah. There's certain movies that come on now. If it comes on and I see, even if it's on regular TV with commercials, if it comes on and I catch it, I catch myself watching it. Just there. I'm like, oh man, I haven't seen this in a while. Hey, let's watch it.
You know what? Actually, and you might appreciate this too. Well, I know you will because you're a smart guy, and but I want to tell everybody who's watching or listening to do this as well. If you guys enjoyed video stores, or if you didn't have that back in the day, go to the library. They have huge DVD section there that you can take out movies. So if you want to get that sort of feel of renting again, go to the library.
The library does that. Yeah, they begin. Yeah.
It does. I know for a lot of people, it's like so much easier just to turn on the streaming. But like, if you're really looking for that, or you want like some type of connection, there might be some other movies.
How many people really do have DVD players? Like, besides people that have their collection and stuff like that, but how many people nowadays really do buy DVD players?
I would agree with you. Not a lot of people do. Like I do because I have the PlayStation.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people do have something they can play it on.
Yes.
But I think the right people, like, you have one, I have one, and we're movie fans. So naturally, that's 2 people are going to get along, and that's why we own one, I think. I think it's a cause of...
It's more on the style. Yeah, it's because like this, like when I want to watch Lord of the Rings Return of the King, I'd rather watch it on my DVD player, and yeah.
Oh, yeah. I absolutely. There's just some things you gotta, like, I have my Star Wars, all that stuff. It's I like, because there's some things like physical media has transcended. Like I can't go back and collect in 4K everything I had on VHS. That's insane. It's just too much. And then DVD, like that's why after DVD, I was like, I will get what I want on Blu-ray. Like that's as far as I can extend.
Yeah.
But it's it's definitely a commitment. But I am definitely like, I'm with you. Like you watch, like I will go and put on the discs and tell my kids, like, yeah.
Well, I honestly remember the first laser disc, and they were huge, and not everyone could afford a laser disc, so it was huge. And the first one, it was Scarface. The laser disc that my cousin had was Scarface, and so just a way to see the way things have changed, and that's crazy because in our lifetime we've seen the movie industry evolve to a point to like you would have never thought that it would be this way now.
Yeah, it's such in a crazy place right now where we're seeing things. Well, right now, even with movies, especially after COVID, because it's such like we've seen things in our lifespan, like after post 9/11, everything post 9/11 was just changed forever. Nobody who was born after that or like came into understanding life after that, like if you were like a toddler before 9/11, you don't understand, you know, it's like the video stores and things like that, all that stuff that kind of went away in that world,
Mhm.
you know, it just forever changed. Now with COVID, it's like there's so many different things. Even now, it's like that post-COVID world,
Yeah.
and we're you know like where everybody's kind of fighting.
So
for
we've like if you think about it, it's just in our generation alone, we've experienced like seismic shifts with the COVID and then 9/11.
Mhm.
Like these are two seismic shifts that we've experienced in our lifetime.
And I would even go one further, because we in our lifetime we also saw the fall of the USSR.
Yes, we did see
And
the
that Cold
Berlin
War
come down.
changed.
Yes, yeah,
You know, with the Cold War ending, that changed significantly. Because, like, think about the 80s versus the 90s.
it was
Now, the
different.
80s were great, but the 90s were a lot freer in the sense that you're like, oh, I don't have to worry about a bomb being dropped every day.
Yeah,
It's like a definitely a different feeling, you know?
yeah,
So,
definitely.
it's like we have seen, and I mean, we've seen two wars, we've seen like lots of stuff like throughout that time period
Mhm.
where like you just see it's like not even two, like, you know, we've been involved in two wars, but then on top of that, like we're now looking at another one. We're looking at Russia and Ukraine. So like we're witnessing so much. And I feel truly, honestly, just even within like I'm 41. So like within my 41 years, like you maybe the 1900 to like 1945, you know, you saw two world wars, you saw the Great Depression.
That'd probably be the only time that you could probably think that they've really seen some kind of shift in that way.
Yeah.
Especially like how we've seen it, and we've like even right before the 60s, we didn't have civil rights. Like it was crazy that, and now it's something. That's why I feel like our generation is we're a little bit more. Well, we're more well-rounded in the fact, because I feel during our time is when we really mingled most. This is where kids really got to hang out and be kids. It was
Mhm.
it wasn't, oh, he's a black kid or what. No, it was just we were just for kids. We just were able to grow up and have fun and develop these relationships without focus on color.
Yeah. I honestly, I mean, I grew up, like I said, I grew up in the city, and I don't remember hearing it. I don't remember hearing about color, you know, and I'm not saying that for any other reason. Like you were told to go out and play. Like, I don't think it was ever really thought about.
I didn't think we didn't. I honestly, I didn't really think about it. It wasn't something that.
Not saying that racism didn't exist or we didn't see that.
No,
It's just like
I'm
in our
sure
neighborhood.
it wasn't something that we focused on. It wasn't something that, like, now I feel that they're really harping on it more. And it wasn't something that we really, because I feel that we're a generation where, again, we're right after segregation and all that, and we got more intermingling, and we're that generation where we're still outside playing and doing all the stuff that we're doing, right?
Yeah,
But we're also those Nintendo kids.
sure.
So we're the first gamers. We're the first gamers.
That's another significant thing in our lifespan. Like
we're the first gamers. Let's
the internet and gaming.
Yes, we're the first gamers. We're the if you look at it, we're like we've lived the world. We've experienced the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
We've experienced that life of being outside, riding our bikes, building those relationships. But we also we're the first ones to really embrace technology and take it to that other level.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And because I do remember being early on and like video games, you're not even thinking. Like I remember everybody wanted a Nintendo, everybody wanted a Game Boy, and even going back, you could say Atari, you could say all, and it's true.
Mm-hmm.
But like Nintendo was the mecca at one point.
Oh yeah, Nintendo was the one. That was the one that changed everything. That Atari and all that was great. Pitfall, all that was great. But it was Nintendo. Because remember, I still remember having it like when after a while you would have to blow on your Nintendo, make sure you had something holding it down so that it could read correctly. Like, listen, we've seen so many different things, but we are the first gamers.
You ever stick it in the freezer?
Yes, to cool it off. Yes.
Just stick it in the freezer for like 5 minutes to be fine.
Yeah, because we used to kill it, man. We used to burn them up.
Yep. Oh my God, man. Like it's back in the day. And just watching some of those things, like they came out with that movie Tetris this year, and it's pretty good. You know,
actually, I got to see it. I heard it was really good. So
it did a really good job, and I didn't really understand the full story of like what happened with Tetris, and I really enjoyed it. And you know, it's one of the reasons talking about biopics tonight, you know, kind of got me. And it's like it's very sensationalized, and I just think that's what works, you know, in this instance. But like, yeah, I always liked when they talk about video games and talk about those days, sensationalizing it, because it did feel that way. All of those things just felt like it was, you know, like bigger than life.
Yeah, and now we walk around with computers in our hands. Like,
yeah,
it's listen, because you're like me. You were there for the rotary phone.
Oh my God! Remember when you mess up one and you got to start
all over again? Yeah. So now look at us now. Like, who would have thought? Like, honestly, did you think when in our lifetimes we would be walking around with what the power that we walk around with now?
Well, yeah, that's the funny thing. Like, because for me, being a fan of Star Trek, being a fan of those sci-fi,
but that's like, of course, I being Star Wars, being all that.
Oh yeah, it still shocks you. It still shocks me.
It was like we didn't think we didn't think with the Jetsons. Like we didn't think we were going to be around to see the Jetsons. It was like, oh yeah, the future. I'm saying like, so
I don't know if we're going to get there or not. Who knows?
Yeah.
But, well, you know, you watch, you see those things, and like, it's funny. I was talking to my father once, and I asked him that, you know, because he's in his 70s, and I was like, what's something today that just completely floors you and astounds you compared to like when you were a kid? Like if you could go back and talk to your childhood self and say, you're never going to believe this. Yeah. And that was the first thing. Like he, you know, in my true father fashion, he didn't even look at me. He just pulled out his phone and just went like this. And I was like, yeah, all right, that makes sense. He's like, this thing does everything. He goes, this does everything and more. He's like, did you realize how many things we had to buy to do everything that this thing could do? And it does more than that.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
It's and it's funny because it became a joke. It became a meme. Like all that stuff on sale at the local
electronic store or whatever. Yeah.
And it's like all that fits in your phone now.
All that it's in the palm of your hands now. Yep. And it's like, and even with what we're doing now, with what we're doing with podcasting and everything, there was no platforms like this. Yeah. We had like 3 channels, 3 or 4 channels. We didn't have many channels, and we didn't have many opportunities like this or platforms like this where you can be an independent artist and be an independent creator and build something.
Yeah.
So it has its hiccups, but then it also has its benefits.
It is one of those things where it's and like anything in life, it's a blessing and a curse. Like you're gonna have some things that take away, but I think it just comes with navigating. Everybody to each their own. Like I was saying earlier in the show, like, don't judge it. Just do what you can. Do the best you can with what you got, you know, and go with that. And like, even with my kids today, like,
I think we've, and that's another thing that we're different. We're our generation is different from all the others.
mm-hmm.
Is we just don't really care. Like it doesn't. We don't care what you want to like. Whatever it is that you want to be a decider. We don't care. That's your opinion. That's your choice. We could care less. I don't judge. I don't judge a person on who they feel they are. I judge them on how they interact with me. And on how they act with me and how they treat me. Because then that's going to reflect on how I treat them. So it doesn't matter if you want to be known as him, her, them, they, whatever. As long as you treat me with the respect, I'm going to treat you with the same respect. And that's what we've always been about. Our generation's always been about, listen, you respect me, I respect you. I don't care if you feel that you're a girl or you feel like you're a boy. Don't concern me.
I 100% agree with you, my friend. And that's it. You know, it's the best, and that's the best thing you can come to is just respect. Just show some respect. Just respect everybody for what they are and what they're trying to do. Why give anybody any grief about what they are trying to do if it's not hurting anyone? Ultimately, it's what it comes down to. But
I like what Chris said. Eating mud pies and never got. Yeah, we ate a lot. We used to get dirty. We used to go outside, get dirty. It didn't matter. It's like now, it's like your kids fall down and scrape his knee. Like, oh my poor baby. Like, come on, man. We've scraped knees, we scraped elbows. Like I said, we've done it all. Being that we've gone outside,
and it helped build an immune system. You know, like with it. And my kid was digging in the hole the other day. He just came in. He's covered in dirt. My wife was just like, "You tracking dirt in the house?" I was like, "Just let him. Who cares?" At this point, he's playing in dirt. I love it. He's digging for worms. Like, thank God. I was like, thank God, because I was like, I look at kids all the time now, and like they're afraid to go near bugs. You know, they're afraid to do something. They're afraid to jump their bikes on something. They're afraid to go. You know,
I remember us building ramps and stuff to jump our bikes. Like we'd take tires or whatever it is, get a plank or something, and even when you're growing up, the plank is sliding off. We were some daredevils, man. It was different.
I told my oldest, he's 11 now, and he's like, nah, I just don't think I'd do anything crazy like that, like jump off like a high pier or something like that. And I'm like, don't worry, you will. And he goes, why? He's like, why? I was like, don't worry, you will. And he goes, I don't know, just don't think I will. It's not sensible. And I'm just like, you'll meet a girl and then you will. It's like,
you'll do something stupid. Eventually you will do something stupid. Yes.
It'll happen and you don't have to worry about it because you'll do it. I've been there. I still do it, you know, to impress your mother who I married. You know, it's like, hey, look, I wonder if I jump off this and then my knee will hurt for the rest of the year. But yeah, that's what it is.
I've done that.
But I do want to. I want to switch up gears a little bit because we are coming up on time, and I want to talk about your shows, your show in Real Wise Radio a little bit.
Well, honestly, we shut down Real Wise Radio because.
Did you? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry to hear that.
It was a learning experience. I wouldn't say it was a failure. It was a learning experience, and if I ever decide to do it again, I know what to do now. But
right there with you with Scene Snobs Network, it was the same way.
Yeah, it was learning everything. To me, that's one thing I've learned being in this field and all that is there's no failure, man. It's me learning, it's me experiencing everything that I'm doing and taking it and taking it for the lesson that it is. Yeah. So I'm just having a great time being able to do something I love to do. I get to network with some amazing people like yourself.
Thank you.
Just the relationships I've been able to build in these last 3 years have been a blessing. It's opened up so many opportunities and so many doors for me that I'm just grateful that I get to do what I love to do.
Yeah, and you've been killing it with Stuck in My Mind, man. Like you're going on almost every night now, and you have some great guests.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays. And you know what? At first, when I started, I was interviewing everybody, and it was great. I interviewed some great actors. I had Larry Hankin. I had some other people because of a certain person we won't name. We actually call him Voldemort now. We don't mention him by name.
I love it.
A certain someone. I'm thankful for him introducing me to you and everyone else that he introduced me to, and so those relationships have been so amazing. Like Jeff Dewalski and Jeff Ravilla, Maria Daniels, all these wonderful people, Tina Marie, all these wonderful people that I probably would have never met had I not started this journey, and to be able to build these relationships and build these friendships like this. I'm shocked. This is my first time being on Scene Snobs.
I know. Well, you have
we have
channel before, but this is
and we've collaborated before. We've collaborated before on the special events that you're always putting together and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we've always appreciated it. Thank you, man. But
it's always about giving back to the community. You have to give back to the community.
Well, man, I'd love to have you on more.
No one is doing this by themselves. It's building these connections and these relationships it's key for anyone. If you really want to be successful in this realm, you have to network. You have to build these relationships. You have to nurture them. You have to treat people with respect and just do it, man. Just not be afraid of doing it. Like I can remember when I first started, I sucked.
I'm with
it. The more I got comfortable doing it, the more I was doing it, the more I got comfortable and the more I improved. So
yeah. And I love how you've adapted so well to it too, because watching you're a guy, and I think I'm confident enough in myself to say like I can follow suit in like what you do, what you in your capabilities, in like you work really well with other people, but you also work really well alone. And that is a hard thing in podcasting, to be able to work alone and keep people entertained. But you nail it, man. You're really good at it. So
it's me just being me, man. It's just me being able to come out. And I think I suck when I'm by myself. I prefer to be on air with someone else. But I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I guess sometimes you're your own worst critic. Like like there's times that I'm like, oh man, I'm horrible. And then somebody be like, yo, that was a great show. I'm like, really? I thought I sucked. I thought the episode but it's me just putting putting pressure on myself, but sometimes it's cool to hear it from somewhere else, and then you can like kind of let the reins go a little and be like, all right, maybe I wasn't so bad, and you can ease up on yourself.
And you should, man, because you got the talent, dude. You know what you're doing, and you do a really good job, a great job. I shouldn't say really good. You do a great job at this. And when you're by yourself, I think the fun thing about that is you're always genuine. But when you're by yourself, I think and I know I find this with myself too. It forces you to be genuine.
Yeah, you gotta really find it within yourself. Like, what am I doing? What is this gonna be? What is it that I want to do here? And trying to convey that message so that people can be entertained and people can get value from what I'm doing. That's something that I'm really. It's really important to me is that people get value from what I'm doing. So if I have a guest on, I want them to get the value from that guest, and I just try to make my guests be comfortable. I want them to come on and just be themselves, just talk, and not have to come in and try to sell whatever they're trying to sell. Yeah, you're there to promote your book. You're there to promote your show, whatever it is. But I want you to just be you. I just want you to just come out, have a good time, speak, and let people see your personality. Let people see who you are, and it works. And people kind of like gravitate to that. Be like, oh yeah, this was cool. He's just a regular guy.
I think, and that's such a great piece of advice too, and just a great outlook overall on this is when you have a guest. Yeah, if they're just plugging and pushing and trying to sell what they're trying to sell, it's always going to turn people off. But when you can have conversations like this, like talking about baseball for like 30 minutes, and not talking about baseball statistics, not talking about just talking about being fans.
Yeah.
That's so like, people who weren't fans were having fun talking about it, in the comments. Like that's a
and that's one of the reasons I decided to go live was the experiences that I've had off of going on live shows like this, where you see the people's comments and you're able to interact with their comments. To me, it makes it their show as well.
Yeah.
When you go live, it makes it the audience show as well, because now they're a part of the show. They can see their comments posted. They can see their questions asked. So it makes it their show. It's no longer just my show and my guest show. It's their show now because they are a part of it. Now they have their comments that they share. They have their comments that you put up on the screen. So it makes it theirs. So I enjoy that aspect of it even more.
I completely agree with you on that, because it does. And like, with us, we call it, of course, the Snobnation. So whenever the Snobnation is here, they do, and they jump into the Discord, or they jump in afterwards, and like we have great conversations about it, and they touch down, so the conversation doesn't end. And I like that. I like that we can always kind of,
and that's what's key, is building that relationship and building that community where it doesn't have to end once the show ends.
Yeah.
So now they're in the community, they're in the chats, they're posting messages, sharing their information, sharing their stories. That's what you want. You want to build that community where people can, they'll catch your show, but then they can still continuously interact with you through your community.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then I think you and I have always had sort of a similar outlook on like doing this, and just like how to connect with people, like more, like we said, like more genuine than anything, because we're trying to do it in a way where we want to connect with people. We want to have those build those relationships.
You need those. Yeah, you definitely need those relationships. You need to be able to to sit down and have someone be like, hey, be like, yo, listen, you might want to tweak this a little something. It was a great show, but maybe you might want to work on this. And I love that fact. I love the fact that I have friends that if they see something I'm doing wrong, that they'll be like, yo, dude, maybe you might want to do this, or you might want to go this way, or and if I agree with it, then I'll take that advice. Yeah. But that's the great thing, it's the great thing about having these communities and these networks where you get other people's opinions, you get to hear other people's ideas, you get to see something that you might have not seen, and they're able to pick it up, and they're like, hey, dude, this came out and it wasn't, oh, thank you, I greatly appreciate it, because I didn't see that.
Yeah, no, that was a big thing for like even my opener for the show today, and talking about that adding value, because even through this, when I have questions about like, all right, well, what am I going to do here? If I have to adapt something here, what's the next step? How do I go about adapting it and working this out? Who better to ask than the people who are, buying my merch, the people who are going to my Discord or going in the Facebook group or supporting me in every turn. I want to know, what do you find value in? What am I talking about that you enjoy? Like, because you're my audience. And at the same time, like, you're my community, a community I'm in. I hope they don't think like I'm putting myself above it when I say my community, but a community that I am very happy and thrilled to be a part of. Yeah. It's such, I love your outlook on it, man. Like you have such a great, you have a great outlook. I mean, it's the best, or view towards it, like on how to do this and be a part of it. So I look up to you.
But the thing is, bro, I didn't have a clue on any of this. I didn't, when I started, I wasn't in media. I wasn't a mic person. I wasn't all this that I've learned in the last 3 years. Like, this wasn't my. I'm a table games dealer.
Mm-hmm.
Saying I deal cards. I play games for a living. I deal cards for a living. And to come, and now I'm in the self-development, entrepreneurship, self-help niche. That's like the whole different, like, some spectrum that I didn't. When I wanted to start my podcast, I wanted it to be a sports podcast.
No.
My podcast has nothing to do with sports.
Now you find it, right? You just find your niche. Like, what
I found the niche that wasn't something that, yes, I'm personally, I'm into self-development and stuff like that. Yes. Yeah. I read books, I got courses, but I thought I would be doing maybe a movie podcast or a sports podcast, because these are the things that I love. I love movies, I love entertainment, I love watching series, I love sports. But I decided to go in the niche that I have life experiences, but I go into the niche that I'm trying to learn and grow in. So it kind of fits. So.
And I'm so glad you did. And we will figure this out. We're going to do this, like, because the whole point is to make this our full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And do this, because that's the whole point of being entrepreneurs and working.
If I could do a live show every day, I would. Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of funny you mentioned that. I'll reveal a little bit here, while we're doing it. So, for everybody who's watching or listening, the Snobnation Friday morning show is coming back this Friday. But
which I love, by the way, which I love watching.
Man, and please let me know because we're going to do it 8 to 10 now.
Okay.
We're going to do a 2-hour, because now that it's just one person, like I gotta bring it back down. But we might be expanding in the next couple of months to maybe Mondays and Fridays. I'm looking to Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We're going to see, and just see kind of how it plays out. But we'd love to have you on again, man, for sure.
Oh, wow. Listen, brother, anytime, man. If you, just like how you just shot me the message, like, anytime, shoot me a message. If I can do it, I'm here.
All right. Well, I'm going to work on that, and I'm going to send you some more dates to get you on this show for sure, so we can sit back and talk about some more stuff that we love, especially movies, because we didn't get to fully get into it.
Oh, but listen, anytime I get to sit down and talk to you and share with the Snob Nation, it's great for me. So.
And Snob Nation, hopefully you guys are going to check out Wize. Go check out all his stuff.
We're working. So I'm working on getting I'm relaunching my the Real Wize Productions website. We're working on getting that relaunched. But you can catch Stuck in My Mind on all major platforms, YouTube, Facebook. We're on all Spotify. And then I have Mentalities, another show that I have on Real Wize TV YouTube channel, which is a great show that I collaborate with another great podcaster. So again, it's these relationships, man. It's the networking that I'm building and the relationships I'm building that I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I'm right there with you. It is a wonderful feeling, because sometimes you're going to meet ones you don't ever want to talk to again. But for everyone that you don't, the Voldemorts and things like that, you meet some great people that you never want to let go. So
definitely, man.
You are one of those people. I'm very happy to have met you and to share and create this like a bond in this with. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on tonight and talking with me and hanging out.
I appreciate you, brother, man. Like I said, I love when you were doing the Friday morning YouTube I would definitely tune in and catch it, and it's great. Listen, I learn a lot from watching you and what you do live. I try to watch people that I admire
Oh, thank you.
and pick something and learn from them. And I might not do my show completely like anything like yours, but there's tips that I get from you, like the confidence, and I see how you make sure you know your details about what you're talking about, and there's those things that you learn from watching people who are doing what you want to do. So
Yeah, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
And the same goes right back to you, man. I've learned so much by watching your show and you and everything that you're doing. So thank you again, guys. Please go check out Wize, and the links are down below. He is awesome. He's got a great show. And I cannot wait to have you back on. I am going to send you some dates tomorrow and we'll talk again. But thanks again, brother.
All right, brother. Peace.
Take care, man. Bye. Guys, that was so much fun. Wize is awesome. Please go check out his stuff. He's such a great guy. But let's get into it. We ran pretty late with that, but I do want to get to some of the topics tonight. And if you guys are still there, join me for it because I want to get into it. But if not, make sure you join up on Discord. Make sure you join up on the Patreon, things like that. We really appreciate you when you do because it helps support, keep the lights on, helps us keep doing things that we love doing around here. Like we said, this is our livelihoods and stuff like that. This is what we love, and we are trying to bring value and entertainment, and hopefully we are doing that to you guys and building this community and having a good time. So one thing I want to touch down on, we got a few things we want to talk about. One thing I really want to touch down on is the Ezra Miller controversy with The Flash coming out in a couple of days. A lot of people are looking to stand out. In fact, they're talking about it domestically only making $70 million. Now, for a movie that has taken maybe like 3 or 4 years to make overall, and it's this huge movie that everybody is talking about, having seen it and saying that it is epic and great and wonderful, and for it only to be projected to make $70 million, that controversy has really, truly hit hard. Now, I will tell you, we've talked about controversies in the past and kind of how they affect different things. And it's no stranger to know that I go and see things. I will go see this movie. I've thought about it. I kicked around the idea. And from the filmmaking side of things, to me, Ezra Miller is everything he's done makes me feel like he's a real piece of garbage. Yeah, you may have issues, and I completely support you getting help for those issues. Always. I always support people getting help for any type of issues that they have. But when you do wrong, whether you have issues or not, you got to deal with the consequences that you are given. Now, sometimes people may just forgive you. That happens. And if that's what happens, if the people that you hurt just say you're forgiven, I got nothing in my world to say you shouldn't be forgiven because it has nothing to do with me. Now, if I'm somebody who doesn't want to forgive you, that's, and you did it to me, that's a whole different thing. I think we can all agree on that. My point with this is he did some really bad things. He hurt a lot of people. I wasn't using their pronouns, and I apologize for not using them now. Kind of slipped my mind. But I'm going to continue. My friend Sasha, she had told me, she's a trans woman, and she had told me that regardless of whether you believe that they are using the pronouns not correctly, but the right way, because that's truly how they identify, or because it's a publicity stunt, which I think Ezra Miller is doing that in this climate, because right after they had attacked that woman, they started using it. Now, I usually never really have this much of an issue talking about it when it comes to pronouns, but Ezra Miller really bothers me with everything they have done. But because I talked to Sasha and she has explained it to me in a way that kind of made me understand, it kind of brought me around and changed my mind. So I am trying to change it up when it comes to Ezra Miller. And it's it's kind of tough because I don't have a lot of respect for them at all. In fact, I don't really have any respect for them whatsoever. So with this movie coming up, why am I going to see it? I have no respect for them. They are in it quite a bit. In fact, they are playing 2 people in it. Well, because the movie is bigger than them. The movie is so much more. Now, having worked on movies, for me, now this is my personal feeling. I'm not trying to convince you to go see it. In fact, I stand by you not wanting to go see it, but I also stand by anybody who says they're going to see it or has seen it. For me, I'm going to see it because I do understand. Like, I want to go see Michael Keaton as Batman. That's my Batman as a child. I want to go see that. I want to go see Sarah Cowley play Supergirl. I want to see Michael Shannon step back in as Zod. I want to see all of these characters kind of come back. And I like Andy Machete's direction, and Barbara Machete's producing, and everyone who worked on it. You know, blaming WB, go right ahead, but there's a lot of filmmakers below the line and above the line that have worked on this movie. And I think it's important to support them and not just blame Ezra Miller and say, I'm not going to see it because they are terrible people. You know, it's more than that. You know, it's also, you're taking away. So, like, again, if you're not going to see it, and I'm okay with the free market, I'm okay with it living and dying by people not going to see it. If it fails, if it flops, if people just say, I'm not going to see it, and it makes 70 million or less, I'm okay with that. I'm not saying I want this to win. I'm not saying I'm going because I want this movie to win. I'm saying I'm going because I want to see it. And I'm going to suffer through having to see them in the lead role. But I do want to see other aspects of this. I want to see the action. I want to see this. I hated the Justice League movie. I didn't even go see that in theaters. I don't want to miss out on this. I did miss out on the Justice League movie. It was terrible, don't get me wrong, but I do feel like that is an experience I should have had, even as bad as it was. And I didn't allow myself to go see it after Batman vs. Superman. So I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to go see this movie. I'm going to take my son to see it because he doesn't know all this stuff that's going on. And he's excited to go see Batman. He's excited to go see The Flash. He's not excited to go see Ezra Miller. And when he's up there, he's not looking at Ezra Miller. He's looking at The Flash. And the fact of the matter is, heroes on screen do mean something. Hulk Hogan in real life is not a great person. He's underhanded. He's kind of a scumbag. But Hulkamania inspired so many kids to do and be great things. Heroes mean something. The legends mean something. So I think that it is okay to take people to go see these movies, these stories, and these things like that. Which leads me to my next topic, which is Snobs Movie Summer School. And this week, we are talking about biopics. What is the winning formula of biopics? Now, Snobs Movie Summer School is something that I thought up that I thought would kind of be fun. You can watch it on the YouTube channel, or you can watch or listen to it here on the Scene Snobs Podcast every week for the summer. If it catches on, you guys like it, it's going to be tweaked. It's going to be here and there. It's the second week. So if you guys have any input on it or you want to see certain things, let me know. But I'm going to be taking different elements and I'm going to be talking about different things. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. I wanted to talk about biopics because I was watching a few different ones the other day, and some work and some do not work. I was watching that Queen Bohemian Rhapsody biopic, and it's just not great at all. And Chris, I appreciate you saying my sentiments exactly about the Flash movie, and Chris Sales saying that, and Chris Harris saying more snobs, hell yeah, and you're saying that to. Saying that about us doing Snobs Nation morning drives. Radar, what's going on, buddy? Thanks for joining in, man. So with the Snobs movie Summer School, I wanted to get into talking about the biopics because knowing what works and what doesn't work. I wanted to touch down on what I think. And I would love to hear what you guys think. So sound off in the comments again, or head over to the Discord, to Patreon, things like that, and let's talk about it. Also, the Snobnation Facebook group, if you're on there, it is available. It is open. Hit me up. Go over to the Scene Snobs page if you can't find it, because there's a private group, and I will be more than happy to invite you in. It's not a problem. You just send us a message, and I will send you the invite. But let's talk about it, okay? What do I think? What do I think makes a biopic work? There are three things ultimately at the top of it that makes a biopic, puts it at a different level of a biopic. So it's either bad, does not work. It's either middle of the road, you watch and you're like, oh, that's pretty good, I learned something. Or it's great. It's perfect. You're like, this works on all cylinders. I want to learn more about this person. Is this real? What works? What doesn't work? Oh, I take a little sip. Talking so much. So, for me, while I'm watching a biopic, I want to learn some things. But what I think makes a great biopic is the sensationalism. You need the legend. You need the things that are really going to make it. What are great biopics to me? Rocket Man. I talk about Bohemian Rhapsody saying that's a bad one. Because for me, it's the ego that was in it. It's not about, they're trying to say, this is Queen, this is Queen, this is Queen. They're not telling the story. When let's face facts, you're not giving us any real personal information about anybody in Queen except for Freddie Mercury, and he's dead. And you're really not giving much in that movie. You're kind of just saying that he went off the rails a little bit, but you're not really giving us any details, which there are so many details himself he gave us, and other people that really knew him gave us that you could have used. And you did make him the main focus, which you should have. He should have been the main focus. It should have been a Freddie Mercury biopic, personally, I think, and it shouldn't have been done by Queen. Queen should have never stepped in and said, okay, we're in charge of this. It was a terrible idea. The only good part about that movie, in my opinion, was the final 20 minutes when they did the Live Aid performance. But you can watch the actual Live Aid performance. Why not just watch Freddie Mercury? But then you get something like Rocket Man, which completely sensationalizes everything. It is his real story and his dealing with addiction, is dealing with homosexuality, is dealing with all aspects of his life. His father, and how his father abandoned him, and his mother, how cruel she was to him. All of these aspects are in there. All of his heartbreak is in there. All of his music is in there. But all the fantasy is in there. It plays out like it is a fantasy movie, and it's wonderful, and it's just beautifully told. And I think that's how you make a biopic work. So like when you have certain elements that stand out like that in biopics, it really hits the right tone, and what do I mean by that? So like, what other biopics really stand out that sensationalize? Okay. A great biopic that sensationalizes doesn't make it about any one thing or one person. So like, let's take Moneyball. Okay. Yeah, that movie's about Billy Beane. It's a biopic about Billy Beane using the money situation, using money as a way to scout rather than the old ways of baseball. But they told the story in that way. They put the heart behind it. Billy Beane wasn't about Billy Beane using this method as much as it was Billy Beane coming around to try and understand this method, adopt this method, loving baseball, while just trying to keep his head above water. And like, there's so much sensationalism there of like, are you worried about him? Is he going to make it? Are they going to win? I knew they were going to win when that movie came out. I had watched the season. I knew how well they were going to do. I knew what happened to him. So, but it was so sensationalized. It was really well done. Malcolm X. Let's go to another one. This is the story. I mean, he did such an amazing job. Now he is the focus. Now this is one where, yes, Malcolm X is the focus, but he is so sensational in it Denzel Washington's performance in it makes him so bigger than life. The whole story is just resonating. And then you take Spike Lee's filmmaking, and that makes a great biopic. But then you take something like Straight Outta Compton, which is a good one. I really enjoyed it when I watched it, but it's not one I can keep revisiting. It's not it tells a great story, but it's just, you take all the sensationalism out of it. That could have been so much better of a story where you added more to it. You added more twists and turns. You added the storytelling aspects that you need within the realm of movies. And so many biopics don't do that. And I wish they would, because there's so, like, Ray did a really good job. Ray, I would put in a great column, because like Ray adds to that. Ray goes and he tells the story, and it's yeah, you get the idea of who he is, but it's bigger than life. Everything you're seeing is bigger than life. Same with like a one Tim Burton did, Ed Wood. I think that's a great one, because it's not just about Ed Wood. It's about everything Ed Wood was doing at the time, and everyone that was around him, and the weird world he lived in. And we got to see it through his eyes. And when you get to see those things, and you get to live those feelings that created the greatness that means that this is going to exist, that's what makes him great. But that's why so many aren't that great. That's why so many don't stand the test of time. You don't go and revisit it. You don't, there are moments maybe in these movies that are fantastic, but they're just don't stand out ultimately. And it just takes you out of it. One that I think should go down in a great column, some might say good, but is Weird, the Weird Al Yankovic story. It's so over the top. It's so crazy. It's so weird. It matches the tone of him, the man, perfectly. And I dug that so much. And there's just so many aspects to telling a good biopic that, when it gets down to it, if you don't do these things, you're going to have a bad one, and it's going to shine. The Steve Jobs, like, the Michael Fassbender and the Ashton Kutcher. Now, they're good acting in them, but there was nothing there. They were hollow. You focused on the man, and you were telling two different stories, that one about redemption, another one where it really wasn't about redemption. It was more just telling you who this guy was, and none of it really worked out well. And it just wasn't that great. The Wired, somebody had brought up Wired, the John Belushi documentary. That's a great book. If you've ever read that book, it's fantastic. But that movie dropped the ball big time. How do you not sensationalize the life of John Belushi? That is so easy, and there's so many things you could do. And that book leaves so much open to it. But the fact that they didn't just kills it. It destroys how much it is, how much is there, and let's take two other ones. The Queen with Helen Mirren really sensationalized her life. It tells a dramatic tale that was just really well told and wonderfully acted and well done. And it gives you this inside look at something that's, it's a devastating world, but it gives you a different idealism of her life. And then you have Diana, which is the one with Naomi Watts that came out, I want to say 2001, maybe? Around that time. And no, I forget when it came out. It came out a while ago, but and it just was dull. It gave us nothing really. It was just, like nothing really to hold on to. And it just stunk. And I just did not dig it at all, personally. So, biopics are a fickle thing. I think if you make them bigger than life, they can be great. I think like Greatest Showman is a perfect idea of what it flopped in the movies, but since then has become this huge thing, this huge musical that everyone loves, and has been revisited and made tons of money. I think it made more money after its run in the movie theater, initial run, by coming back into movie theaters so many times than it did when it was first there. So, and the reason for that is because it's this huge, over the top, sensationalized view of what the circus was back then, and P.T. Barnum and who he was. And I love that aspect of it. I think they just did a super job of it. Chris says I'm waiting for the Mick Manhattan movie. There's no sensationalism there, my friends. Keep waiting. Nobody wants to see that. But yeah, I think if you're going to make a biopic work, sensationalism is the key. I don't care where it's at. You gotta make the movie a movie. You have to think about, I know you want to tell the story, but a movie that you are making about somebody's life should honor them in some way, unless it's like you're telling a story about Hitler or something. Who cares? Screw them. But like, it should honor them in some way if that's your goal. But it should sensationalize them in such a way, it should tell the legend of who they were, to almost to push the movie more, to get people to go out and research for themselves who this person was. I want to know the facts, so I'm going to go look it up. This was a good movie. This movie made me want to do that. There's so many movies that don't do that. Or they don't add that drama. They don't add those elements. The biopics that do that you're just like, I don't want to learn anything about this. I don't care. And that's happened. So I think that's how you make the winning formula for a biopic. But you guys share with me what you think. I would love to hear it. Sound off in the comments. Let me know. Join up in the Discord. Let's continue the conversation there, or the Facebook group. Love to hear from you. All right, let's get into it. Our last segment of the night. Did I just fix Universal Soldier? That's right. Universal Soldier. This is one I picked. Saturday night, I was just kind of hanging around, and I was talking to Master Shake and Tim and Ward. I was texting them. We have a group chat, and I was just BSing with them. And I was like, hey, guys, what should I watch? I was just kind of in the mood for an action. And we went over a few things, and they gave me some great recommendations. And I was flipping through. I saw Universal Soldier. I was like, yeah, that's the winner. I was like, Universal Soldier. Let's do this. I was like, I also need something for Did I Fix this week. So I was like, this is going to be perfect. So I go right in. I watch the movie. This is a movie, if you haven't seen it, first off, it spawned like 6 sequels or something like that. I think I'm going to continue on too. And it's a movie. So basically, to give you the rundown of what it is, Vietnam veterans go all, they're in Vietnam. They get killed by their sergeant, nonetheless, played by Dolph Lundgren, who goes crazy, and he's cutting off their ears and he's wearing them as a necklace. Jean-Claude Van Damme plays a private who figures out what he's doing. He fights him on it. They both wind up shooting and killing each other in Vietnam. But there's a program that's going on where they take their bodies and they work on them, put like computer chips in them, stuff like that, and they make them what's called a UNISOL, the Universal Soldier Program, where they are the ultimate soldier, and they never really need to. They can heal. They have healing capabilities, things like that. They're drones, basically, and they go out. They tell them who to kill, what to do, how to do things, and they go out and they do it. So they have Dolph Lundgren there. He's doing it. Jean-Claude Van Damme, Tiny Lister's one of them. There's a bunch of them, dead soldiers who are now a part of this. And there's a few different elements that they have to do. They have doctors working on them, things like that. Like their bodies get overheated real quick, so they have to be in the cold and stuff like that. So going through this and watching this movie and seeing how it kind of plays out, like, and a reporter figures out what's going on after one of the missions. She sneaks back to the base where they are. She gets the evidence, sees who they are. They're going to kill her because it has not been approved by Congress or any sort of government thing. It's the army saying, do this. So they go about it. They kill her cameraman. They're about to kill her. And Van Damme's character is like glitching. He remembers his sergeant, Dolph Lundgren, killing people in Vietnam, and he remembers those things. So like he's kind of imagining that or revisiting that in his memories while they have a gun pointed at her, and he stops them, saves her, and they go on a run. So the movie becomes about them running away, they frame them for murder and everything. So they're on the run, and all these Unisols are chasing them down. And finally, the memories are coming back in Dolph Lundgren's mind, and he's going crazy. He wants to kill everybody, and he just wants that because he's nuts. He's a psychopath, so he's just going crazy. So it goes into that element. So this is a good movie. This is one of Jean-Claude Van Damme's better movies. Now, let's face facts, and many of you are probably going to get mad at me for this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Jean-Claude Van Damme movies aren't always good. Let's face facts. Bloodsport's not a good movie. Kickboxer is not a good movie. Most of them are not good movies. Are they fun, adventure, action movies that you want to watch? 100%, and I will watch them all the time. Yes, I am in. I will watch Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, but they're not good movies. And he's actually made better versions of all of them down the line with better actors, later in his career. So when you get down to it, Universal Soldier is one of his better movies that he made, because Roland Emmerich directed it, and it had more money behind it. It was just one of those things. And like, there was 2 powerhouse performances for the time in the early 90s of Dolph Lundgren and Jean-Claude Van Damme. And I really appreciated this movie for what it was. And I like Universal Soldier: The Return. It's a terrible movie. Compared to this one, it is god awful, but I dug it. And actually, there's a connection I never knew before. Michael Jai White plays Seth in Universal Soldier: The Return. And he's the artificial intelligence that in the end has a body of a Unisol, and he puts his artificial intelligence into the body and becomes the ultimate killing machine. And Jean-Claude Van Damme has to fight him in it. Well, funny thing is, I didn't know this, but Michael Jai White was actually in the first Universal Soldier movie. He played one of their Vietnam platoon. He was in their platoon and he got killed. So in my mind now, I'm connecting it. I'm like, oh, they just used that body then. That's awesome. I love it. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. So, but the fix for Universal Soldier, there is campiness to it. There's, of course, when you watch it, you see that Jean-Claude Van Damme did have aspects that he added to this. Like he definitely wanted portions in there for himself, and he just like cliches or tropes or things, whatever you want to call them, that are specific to Jean-Claude Van Damme. And I think you need to remove those things. I think those are what kind of hurt things. I think those are the things that get campy. I think those are the things that they didn't so much make him shine. First of all, he's naked in a lot of this movie, and he really likes to show off his body. Now, that's great, and I can appreciate that. Fine. I have nothing against him showing off his body, especially in the 90s. He looked fantastic. Good for you, Jean-Claude. But my point being is, you take away from things when you add those certain elements that you think are funny. And you can tell, because if you see other Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, like certain types of characters or certain types of events happen that don't really make too much sense, you draw those back in. And Roland Emmerich isn't really helping, because there was a point where Roland Emmerich made pretty good movies, good stories, because he had other people's scripts, and then it just went off the rails. It was like, oh man, okay, now we're just making disaster movies that make no sense. Okay, that's how this works. Not at this point. He was still making pretty good movies. So at this point, the only way you're really going to fix this movie, which again doesn't need much, what you need to do is you need to bring the drama quicker. This needs to become a cat and mouse thriller, where it didn't ever really played out like that. After the hotel scene where all the Unisols are attacking, and that's where Dolph Lundgren's character is starting to familiarize and remember a lot of things that happened in Vietnam and who he was and what's going on. He had to turn around and come back. And I think that's where he should have, like, at one point, off everyone except the doctors and like go hunting. And I think that would have made that second part of the movie a lot more like hardcore, a lot more thriller aspect, a lot more cat and mouse, not so much a shoot 'em up crazy. Like, yes, you can still have the fight scenes. You can still have Jean-Claude Van Damme do the martial arts, but now you have this almost like this monstrous character that he plays so well in this. He's a great villain in this. This monstrous character who will stop at nothing, who can heal, who has the technology at his fingertips, chasing them down everywhere he goes, and he's finding it out, and he's completely free and void of all those things that were holding him back. I think they just held on too long with it, and we're trying to like tell a story or have Jean-Claude Van Damme go and fight in a diner because he didn't have any money, or that, like those little things that are like cliches to show Jean-Claude Van Damme fight people or get naked for some reason. Those are the fixes that I think you need. I think you need to focus on this being more of a movie that's a thriller that turns into hardcore action. And that's how I think you would fix it. I don't know about you guys. That is just how I would have done it. I would love to hear how you guys think. Let's kind of go over what the comments say real quick. Chris says, put your sign on the ninth gate. Put your spin on the ninth gate. I love it, but ratings suck. I will check out the ninth gate. Thank you, Chris. Maybe that'll be the next one. Universal Soldier: The Return was great. Michael J. White as Seth, an excellent role. I like it, man. Lionheart, that's another one I like. That's another one I think he improved upon a lot of his. I think that's an improvement on Kickboxer personally, but that's just me. Although I kind of like the Kickboxer 2, 3, and 4 more than I like the first one personally. Double Impact's another fun one. Think about how many times Jean-Claude Van Damme did movies where he had twins. Just go back and look, or clones. Hard Target was a fun one. I like Bad Guy Van Damme. He does a great bad guy, but I would love to know what you guys think. Did I fix the movie? Sound off. Let me know, and let's talk about it. And guys, this has been the Scene Snobs Podcast. We had a little bit of an extra long episode. Usually we go about an hour 15, but we are 2 hours. I had a great conversation with Wize today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I really appreciate you. We're going to be live again next week, so make sure to go check it out. We have new merch up at snobsmerch.com. It's all linked below. Go check out our Patreon. That's linked below. Go check out our Discord. That's linked below. Everything's there. It's on the link tree or more. I really appreciate you guys, but I wanted to start ending the show a little bit differently. One of the aspects that I talked about with Wize today that I was going to do is like, I want you guys to start, like I said, I want to bring more value to the shows. And one of the ways I want to do that is talk about things that maybe you guys can do that, you'll appreciate. Your movie guys and girls and movie guys and women. My apologies. And if you go out and it's summertime and you're going to do things, maybe there's some stuff that you really go and enjoy. So one thing that I was going to talk about, and I did talk about it while Wize was on, was going to the library. I think going and talking to people and meeting people is an important thing. And the video store is always good for that. But also the library is very good for that. And I'm a big proponent for that. And I'm going to start talking about different places that maybe you can go and visit and connect with people. So get out to your local library. Go get a card. Go see what events they have going on. Maybe go rent movies. Check it out there. See who's around. And just start connecting and let me know what you think, because I would love to see how it goes. Next week, I'll have another thing lined up for you, maybe something a little different that you guys might have some fun with, and let me know. I would love to see how this goes for you guys or if this is working out. But yeah, checking out the library, I think, is a fun idea. I appreciate you guys. I love you all. I love you all for watching, listening. You guys are awesome. Snobs Nation, truly brilliant. Thank you so much. Make sure to check out the Scene Snobs. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. If not, make sure to go over to YouTube and do that. But make sure to rate, review, and follow wherever on podcasts that you are. It just means a lot to us. And thank you. Just thank you so much. You guys are all amazing. And until next time, I'm Mick Manhattan, and I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Take care.